Give people a message of hope would be really terrific.
Well, first, I'm very excited about the rally because it's so impressive. As you know, Jim Gillum just came back from Washington having won the award for this being the best rally anywhere in the country. So when Little Rhode Island can have the best rally anywhere in the country, that's something to be proud of. Underlying that is the fact that this rally is something that represents a lot of incredibly hard and courageous work by individual people working their way back from addiction to sobriety and cleaning up what they've done before with their families and with their friends. And it's a really noble path that people are on. It's often also a lonely one. And the recovery community is what makes it possible for folks. And so it's really worth celebrating all of that individual accomplishment.
That's great. It looks like we've got a pretty big turnout today.
We've got a huge turnout. Beautiful day, amazing weather.
In terms of constituents, do you have many constituents that come to you with messages about recovery? Do you hear a lot from these constituents?
Yeah, I do. I hear from constituents occasionally. I hear a lot from the organizations that support the recovery community, mental health organizations, sobriety organizations, and I've been working with them in Washington to try to help get their message across. I just chaired a hearing in the Judiciary Committee where Martin Sheen and others came to talk about treatment courts as an alternative to incarceration for people who have sobriety issues, and we were happy to have Judge Jeannie LaFazia of Rhode Island on that same panel with all these national experts. So once again, it was Rhode Island out front in this area of recovery.
That's great. One of the things that we found is that peer-based recovery can actually help the budget because you get so many people involved from the community helping each other that it offloads some of the need for services. I just wanted your thoughts on that.
Well, I saw that myself as Attorney General. When I came in as Attorney General, I reversed the position of the Department of Attorney General against drug courts, and we kicked off the first drug court in Rhode Island that has now got, 10 years more of history. And what we've seen from the actual experience of that is that it's far better, far less expensive, far more sensible to treat people by putting them into a drug court model and letting it become a recovery path for them rather than sending them off to prison and having them add to the cost of prison, learn the bad habits of prison, and not get the treatment that they need to recover from what's really driving their behavior, which is the underlying addiction and illness. So I saw it firsthand there. Now we're expanding it to the Veterans Court. I've brought Attorney General Holder, the Attorney General of the United States, into Rhode Island to hear from our Veterans Court group about what's going on so that we can expand that. That was part of what the hearing was about. So in real life, I've seen real savings take place. And in the current budget environment, it's nice to have these heroic personal stories of recovery, but it's also important in Washington right now to be able to push these things as programs that actually save taxpayer dollars. I believe they do, and that's why I want to keep pushing that message in Washington.
I notice you have a no stigma pen. What message would you give employers around the state?
I think that we spent a long time when recovery from addiction was something that had to be done in the dark. It had to be done in an environment of shame and embarrassment. And all of that set us back as a country. It set the individuals back who had to walk that difficult path. They did it anyway because this is a moment of real bravery in people's lives, but it made it a lot harder. And it caused much more disruption in their lives than needed to happen. So the more we can be upfront and non-judgmental about this, the better off we'll be in terms of the recovery. And frankly, the better off we'll be as a nation, because the sooner you get it treated, the sooner you get somebody on a path to recovery, the more you avoid the types of occasional abuse, mental and medical health issues that can emerge, family traumas that can happen, physical injuries that take place. When it really gets bad, the cost of that is something that society bears very often. So we'll really all be better off in every way the less stigma there is about addiction and mental health issues. And you got to really salute Patrick Kennedy of Rhode Island as one of the people who's really taken the lead by just stepping right in front of that bullet and saying, here's what I am, here's what I've got. If you don't like it, too bad, but I'm going to step out into the daylight with it and let people know that they've got nothing to be ashamed of.
Thank you, Senator. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think you guys have done a wonderful job. Keep doing what you're doing.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very nice. Very important messages and very well delivered. Thank you. How are you doing? Good seeing you.
Kathryn Power.
How are you?
They try to roll me enough if it is.
Ex-Rhode Islander.
No, I still live here.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
And was previously director of NHRH.
Great.
Great.
I'm not a professional interviewer, so I'm just a person in recovery.
That's fine.
Software business.
That's great. Good.
So what we'd like to do is just kind of keep a flow going. If you want to get specific messages across,
All right.
feel free to.
I will.
Kathryn, if you could just maybe introduce yourself quick and what you do.
I'm Kathryn Power. I'm the director of the Center for Mental Health Services, which is at the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration inside the federal U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. So I represent the mental health national perspective and work in issues on national mental health treatment, promotion, and prevention.
Excellent. Can you talk to us a little bit about peer-based recovery and recovery-oriented systems of care?
Well, we at SAMHSA and at the Center for Mental Health Services, along with the Center for Substance Abuse Treatment and Prevention, have promoted recovery for years, and we have really worked very hard to make sure that the kinds of treatments and supports that are so important to people in recovery are available. And they're available through our block grant programs and through our other competitive grants. What is so important about recovery supports, and particularly peer services, is that those are the things that individuals who have these conditions tell us they want and need. And it is, in fact, a service and an environment that creates an opportunity for people to be treated with dignity, with respect, with pride, with love, and with hope. And all of the peer support services that we support really direct toward making sure that the individual with mental illnesses or substance abuse or addictive conditions are really in charge of their own illness, and that they have the tools and that they have the supports that they need to make the decisions about how to manage those conditions. And that, to me, is the essence of peer support. That's the essence of making sure that individuals don't feel alone, that they have struggles, that they have days and times when it's very difficult to manage these conditions, but in fact, they have identified friends and supporters who have been through this similar struggle that can really help them and guide them and be mentors to them, and in fact can be available to them on a 24/7 basis. We all need to have friends like that as we struggle through and manage these very, very serious illnesses.
A lot of people here today are from the recovery community as well as allies and friends. What would you talk to the business community for a second as potential employers regarding folks in recovery and stigma and the issues that come up?
Most of the individuals that I know personally, and there are thousands of them, who have either mental illness or substance abuse or addiction or both, want to work and in fact are fully capable of working. What we have to do is that we have to have employers who are willing to understand that these are health conditions, that they can in fact be managed, and that in fact they should not be associated with the talents and competencies of the individual themselves. Many, many, many individuals are employable and in fact want to work in a very productive way, way. And in fact, employers should be ready, willing, and able to embrace individuals with these conditions, because there's usually so much that they have to offer in terms of work. And what we found is that if employers know someone, or we can introduce an employer to someone who has in fact successfully worked, then all they have to do is meet someone and they can see that it's really quite possible. But many employers are stuck in their mindset about the myths about these conditions. So we have to do a lot about educating the employers about how you manage these conditions and how in fact people can recover from these conditions and move forward. And I think that also some of that is still rooted in some of the myths and misperceptions that people have. So we still have to counteract with an educational focus, but also encourage employers to step up and be ready to face the fact that these are common disorders. Lots of people have depression. Lots of people have a drinking problem. Lots of people have other conditions that are difficult, and they actually are employed. So let's not mislabel people and put them over to the side and say they can't work just because they happen to have a more serious condition. I think one of the things that's going to help us in all of this is this attention to the veterans coming back, who clearly have emotional and other conditions that are challenging, but that there is a sense that veterans really have skills that are useful to employers. So I'm hoping that that will be almost a thrust that will help everyone, rise with the tide, that employers will feel a commitment to veterans and a commitment to people who may have mental health and substance abuse conditions, and will give them an opportunity to work.
I was at Cape Cod Symposium yesterday, and there was a session on using 12 steps for PTSD. And it was really a very fascinating session.
That's wonderful.
By one of the doctors who works for the government. And I was wondering if you had any thoughts about 12-step and PTSD.
Oh, I think 12-step is a remarkable program in terms of applicability to a host of conditions. I mean, I don't think it just relates to drinking or to use of drugs. I think it's anything that focuses your attention on self-care, anything that focuses attention on your own self-discipline, anything that focuses attention on your sense of control of your own destiny, anything that focuses attention on your relationships with other people and how you behave and your attitude, anything that focuses on your participation as an individual in a community at large and as a participating member of a community can only benefit you. So to me, the 12-step program has application to, frankly, thousands of conditions and thousands of opportunities. It just so happened to come out of the substance abuse world.
Great. What message, somebody watching this for the first time who has never been in recovery, what message of hope would you give somebody looking for some solutions today?
I think that hope is the keystone of life. I think that if we embrace hope, then I think anything is possible. So if people feel that they really don't know where they're going, they don't know what they want to do, they don't know who they trust, they don't know when they're ever going to start feeling better, I would ask them to find something that is positive in their life, that makes them feel positive and that they enjoy doing and that makes them feel better. And from that kernel of hope, I think you can galvanize yourself toward making a plan to join the road to recovery. So, for example, if there's a certain kind of music, if there's a certain spiritual belief, if there's a certain kind of artistic expression, if there's a certain geographic place where you feel peaceful, or in doing that makes you feel peaceful, that's the place to start. And then look at how can I make sure that the way I feel in this condition, I can feel this way all the time, and there's a way that I can do that. And I can do that if I have peer support and peer friends. I can do that if I have a good healthcare practitioner helping me along the way. I can do that if I'm empowered to talk to healthcare people about what I need and what I want. I think we just have to find the place where there is a sense of hope and build on that.
Excellent. What do you think of the rally today?
Oh, I think it's fantastic. Congratulations to Rhode Island. I'm so proud to be a Rhode Islander, and I'm carrying this message back to Washington, D.C., that this is the place that knows how to do it.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.